Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is Saturday, the 10th of April, 2021. We're live on YouTube, live TV. We're live on Podbean. Thank you all for coming through. We are the prodigious, the prominent professor at Information News and Gavins Flux with the show and UK politics. We're live all over the media. We're going to go into the weather forecast. We had some bad news in the royal family yesterday. Prince Philip passed age 99. The Queen said a absolute prodigious speech saying everyone around the world will miss Prince Philip and what he did for the country. People say they don't really do a lot for the country. We've got to remember though, when I say part of the aristocracy socially at the start of my show, you know, they're people that we should look up to, abide by their tone and the way they condone themselves as humanity. You know, it's how we still act. Today's weather, maybe a chance of rain. 6 degrees Celsius. I'm not sure. This is in Colchester. I will give you the weather across England. 8 degrees Celsius tomorrow. Slight chance of rain. 82% chance of rain. Monday is between -1 and 9 degrees Celsius. Sunny though. Tuesday is 10 to 3 degrees in between. Start off at 3, then rising to 10. Wednesday is starting off at 5, rising to 12. Let's go up near. I'm going to go Manchester. See what we've got at Manchester, shall we? Oh, let's do Middlesbrough. It's going up north a bit to give you a different perspective of the weather across United Kingdom Dominion. Today is between -1 and 6 degrees Celsius. 50% chance of rain. Sunday is -5 to 6 degrees Celsius. Monday is -3 to 7 degrees. Tuesday is 2 to 11 degrees. We're going to go Wales. Just mix it up a little bit. Oh, Birmingham, yes. We'll go to Birmingham next. We're just going to do Wales quickly. It's between -1 and 7 degrees Celsius in Wales today. Sunday is -3 to 6 degrees Celsius. Monday is -3 to 7 degrees. Tuesday we have 3 to 11 degrees. Now we're going to go over to Birmingham, northwest of England. Birmingham, England, near the National Indoor Arena. I've been to Birmingham. We've got 0 to 7 degrees Celsius today, 90% chance of rain. So it looks like it's a good weather for a duck. Tomorrow it's going to be Sunday, -1 to 7 degrees Celsius, 60% chance of rain. The sunny spells. Monday is 1 to 8 degrees, 8% chance of rain with sunny spells. Tuesday is 3 to 11 degrees Celsius, 45% chance of rain. It looked like you're going to be guaranteed some rain most of the week. 4 to 12 degrees Celsius on Wednesday, 63% chance of rain. Before we're moving on, ladies and gents, please give us a shout on Podbean. If any of you's got Podbean, or please subscribe to Podbean. Give us a listen on there every now and then. You can call in on Podbean. We can have a discussion about what's in the media. Got quite a lot of provocations caused. People, men's rehabilitations. Men's rehabilitation is the thoughtful process of murder. Park, I believe. I think there's a couple that I've gone through today. We are also sponsored by PSS Alarms. Proclamation News is sponsored by PSS Alarms. Very etiquette and pragmatic works carried out. Etiquette with style and pragmatic with sense. All areas covered include central station monitoring provided. All work done according to insurance requirements. This is a friend of mine's company. He's carried out works in Harry Kane's stepmother's house in Hertfordshire, Potter's Bar. He's carried out etiquette works in Essex, such as the Casbah 07908 216 142. Installation, maintenance of intruder alarm, fire alarm, CCTV. All works guaranteed and certified to SSAIB standards. 24 call-out service can provide CCTV for pubs, clubs, restaurants, and new business set up. Secure your business. Mention Professor Johnson for extra discount. Secure your home. Secure your business. Your safety and priorities in your business are paramount. So think safety. Think first. Yes, we should. Yes, definitely do a show on crime. I'm quite clued up when it comes to criminology. That'd be good. We should do that on Podbean, girl, one night. Set up a Podbean or a Telegram, and then I'll record it and stick it on my YouTube. Stick it on your YouTube, make your own YouTube. You got a YouTube channel as well, on your View. Do like a video call on Telegram. We talk about the criminology going on around the UK. That'd be good. That would be very good. Wouldn't that be a good idea, don't you think, View? Yes, yes. Listen to this. Knox Road. Knox Road, not far, my old constituency in Clacton-on-Sea, not far from my parents. Knox Road, Clacton fire. Essex workshop completely destroyed in a huge blaze. Fire crews found the workshop completely alight. Shocking, isn't it? Shocking, absorbing information. It looks like someone's broke into the building. Looks like. It might have been they broke an entry to put the fire out, so I don't know. I'm not jumping to conclusions, but you never know. An Essex workshop has been completely destroyed after a fire engulfed the building earlier this week. Essex Fire and Rescue Service rushed to the scene after being called to the fire just before 12:15 p.m. on Thursday, the 8th of April, the 8th. Fire crews from Clacton, Frinton, Wheeley and Wivenhoe rushed to Knox Road. Clacton found reports of a fire in a workshop that was completely alight. Upon their arrival, the crews reported that the workshop was 100% alight and contained propane cylinders, which is a fuel used in heating, cooking, hot water and in vehicles. That had been a big, big fire through that then. In total, it took the 5 fire crews just under 2 hours to control the blaze, with the last flame extinguished just before 2 p.m. The propane cylinders crews found were removed from the scene, so no longer pose a hazard to the incident, and crews will remain on scene to monitor the problem areas. Propane gas you can find in the ground, amongst clay, amongst earth. You can find it in the ground. I know because I've done underpinning, I've done piling. You can smell the propane gas coming, seeping through the clay. Clacton Fire Station Manager Scott Meakin said, crews worked extremely hard to extinguish the fire. They have removed the cylinders and these no longer pose a hazard to the incident. Crews will remain on scene monitoring hotspots. No doubt when I was underpinning, I was probably smoking a roll up while I was digging a 3 metre hole, no doubt. Not thinking if I've dropped my my cigarette in the propane gas and the clay, it could have blew my legs off. Just so thankfully that I've given up. But that is shocking absorbing information in Clacton-on-Sea in Essex. It's not until you read the news daily and you realise how much the police, the fire brigade, all the 999 services are working hard day in, day out. April the 12th, lockdown roadmap, Colchester Zoo. This is what everyone's looking up forward to. Everything open up. Colchester Zoo is going to be backed up for miles of queues once everyone's got, things start opening up. April the 12th, lockdown roadmap, Colchester Zoo ticket queue backed up with more than 8K trying to book for reopening. The system shows over 8,000 are queuing for tickets. Wow. Thousands of people are facing a lengthy queue to book tickets for Colchester Zoo. After many months of closure, Colchester Zoo announced they would be reopening for outdoor visits from April the 12th. After Boris Johnson gave the green light for the second stage of the lockdown easing plan, the ticket sales to book for the hugely popular zoo opened this morning at 8 a.m, with tickets currently available 7 days in advance. 2 hours into the pre-booking system opening, and now already over 8,000 people in the queue for tickets, showing just how eagerly anticipated the zoo's reopening has been. Hope they all stand 2 meters apart as they're queuing up for the ticket. You off, Bew? I'll catch you soon. I'll speak soon, girl. Well, only out, it still leaves huge swaths in the zoo opening with plenty of outdoor enclosures. One keen to venture outdoors, but stay in a safe environment. Catch you soon, girl. On the books, due to the high amount of traffic to our site today, there will be a delay in receiving your confirmation email. Please bear with us, as this may take a few hours to be emailed to you. Thank you for your patience. You need to pre-book a limited ticket online for the zoo now before you. The track and trace system also means Colchester Zoo needs to collect contact details for anyone visiting over 16. On our website, they also warn we reserve the right to refuse entry to any visitors who have not pre-booked online and compliment our staff. Adult tickets are 16 to 59 standard admission, 16 to 59 years of age. Standard admission is $24.99. Midweek saver is $21.24. Weekends is $22.49. School holidays is $23.74. Child 3 to 5 is submissions at $18. Midweek is $15.30. Senior is 60 plus. Standard admission £23. Midweek saver $19.55. Under threes, assistant and pass holders are free. That's quite a substantial amount just to go and see animals. But if you're into wildlife, it's probably well worth the money. Thank you all for tuning in to Proclamation News Essex constituency, and not only in the Essex Live, it's also in BBC. Thank you all for being observant and staying preserved with this show. It means a lot. Live on Podbean today. We're not live on Castbox. We're coming live on Podbean to give it another diversity of a different population coming through. Ofsted to visit English schools where sexual abuse was reported. Sexual abuse in a school. Schools and colleges in England where students have reported incidents of sexual violence could be visited by inspectors from the regulator Ofsted. Sexual violence. I don't know what kind of sexual violence. I wouldn't like to, talking about kids, I wouldn't like to, put my perspective across what I think sexual violence might conclude. The watchdog has announced it will visit a sample of schools and colleges where cases have been highlighted. Inspectors will assess how well schools respond and support their pupils. It comes after more than 11,000 reports were posted on everyone's invited website, where students can anonymously share their experiences of abuse. Many of the allegations on the website refer to sexual harassment carried out against young women by young men at the school or university. I was attacked by women at school, but I never made a thing of it. I got attacked by 6 girls in the back of the French class. Didn't like it. Many of the allegations on the website refer to sexual harassment carried out against young women by young men at its school or university. Ofsted has published plans for review into safeguarding policies and practices on sexual abuse in state and independent schools and colleges. Its chief inspector, Amanda Spillman, said she had been deeply troubled by the post on the website. I didn't have my first girlfriend until I was 18 because of what happened to me in school when I was about 14, 15 perhaps, in a French lesson by 6 girls, just because I didn't report it, Nothing gets spoken and nothing gets spoken about it. No one looks after your mental health, how you act in society in today's modern world. amongst relationships. That's probably why I live on my own. That's probably why I do this every day, so I feel safe. Miss Spillman said her inspector's review would establish whether current safeguarding guidance was understood by schools and colleges, and if it was allowing them to respond effectively to allegations. It will also examine whether schools and colleges need extra support in teaching students about sex and relationships, and if current inspection regimes in both state and private schools are robust enough around the issue of sexual abuse. The review will also consider how well schools and colleges are working with local multi-agency safeguarding partners. It is due to be completed by the end of May. Ms. Spillman said, like so many others, I've been deeply troubled by allegations of sexual abuse posted on Everyone's Invited website. Many of the testimonies reveal that girls have not felt able to report the incidents of sexual abuse to their schools. We hope that by listening to young people's experience firsthand, this review will provide much needed insight into what these barriers are and how they can be overcome. Education Secretary Gavin Williamson said that sexual abuse was abhorrent and it was vital that these allegations were dealt with properly. Last week, the government announced that the new helpline run by the charity of the NSPCC would offer support of potential victims and provide advice to children and adults. The report abuse in education helpline can be reached on 800 136 663 on Monday to Friday 8 a.m. till 10 p.m. or 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. at weekends. You can also be contacted by email at help@nspcc.org.uk. It's important if you've got niece, nephew, even young kids, son, daughter, it's important to know these helplines may benefit your child rather than living in disparity and not knowing where you can turn and ask for help or support. Just talking to your parents ain't always the easy option. You need to talk to other people to branch out to let know what you are grieving over. Where are Britain's loneliest places in lockdown? Loneliness during COVID lockdown has been much more intense in poorer urban areas and places with higher proportion of young people, says the Office for National Statistics. Anyone living on their own through lockdown? Anyone suffering through lockdown? A study has mapped the factors that makes loneliness more likely in different parts of Britain. Former industrial towns with higher unemployment were more lonely, while affluent and older populations were less likely to experience high levels of lockdown loneliness. And high streets with good local businesses can make a positive difference. A lonely winter. The autumn and winter months from October 2020 to February 2021 saw rising levels of loneliness, says the ONS. Among the adult population, 7% were always or too often lonely, representing 3.77 million people. More than a million more than during the first lockdown last spring. Younger people more likely to experience lockdown loneliness. Likelihood of reporting feeling lonely in a 7-day period from the 14th of October 2020 to 22nd of February 2021. 16 to 24 years. The latest research in ONS shows the overlapping factors linked to the highest levels of loneliness. Urban areas, particularly those with declining industries and higher rates of unemployment and crime, are more vulnerable to loneliness. The study found a particularly strong link during the pandemic between joblessness and loneliness in towns and cities outside London. The ONS cautions against reading too much into individual local figures, but levels of often or always. Loneliness are double the national average in places including Blackburn, Middlesbrough, Hartlepool, Lincolnshire, Corby, Mansfield, Tameside and Wickham. As previously studies have shown, young adults, even before they were cut off from their social lives during the pandemic, are much more likely to report feelings of loneliness than older people. In these self-reported feelings of loneliness, 16 to 24-year-olds were 5 times more likely to say they had felt lonely in the past 7 days than those 65 to 75-year-olds. There have been suggestions that older people become more resilient in their attitude towards loneliness. People living in the countryside reported lower loneliness rates percentage who felt lonely often or always. By area type, urban settlements, services and industrial legacy, business, education, heritage centres, London, cosmopolitan, ethnically diverse metropolitan living, town and country living, affluent England and countryside. You've got to remember, we're just coming out, easing out of lockdown slowly now. So people are going to be a bit more reluctant to dating, aren't they? People are a bit more reluctant to go on dates. So you might grab yourself a date in the next few months. Maybe you can go to visit the zoo or the local country park. People will start. You never know. You might find the love of your life. You won't be in disparity for much longer. While Nick Crofts, head of the Cart Foundation, which has also published research on loneliness, says it should be no surprise that young people are particularly affected. Over more than a year of social distancing, they've seen schools and colleges closed while physical interaction with each other have been hugely restricted, he said. Local connections. The areas of Britain least likely to have felt lonely during the pandemic are described as affluent England, those with countryside living and places that feel safer from a lower level of crime. Rural areas tend to have less loneliness than urban. Other protective factors against loneliness include having strong local businesses and access to adult education, with these helping people to stay connected and keep in touch. Places with low levels of loneliness include Clyde, Lancashire, Derbyshire Dales, North Kesteven, Lincolnshire, Weary, Lancashire, Tandridge, Surrey, Northwest Leicestershire. The study grouped together areas such as the cosmopolitan and ethnically diverse metropolitan living and found these to be less likely to be lonely than poorer, post-industrial towns, but more lonely than wealthier or rural locations. There are personal factors in this mosaic of loneliness. The study shows anxiety levels have also risen during the pandemic, particularly for those living in densely populated areas, and that feelings of anxiety can be interlinked with loneliness. People who are living alone are more likely to be lonely, particularly those who are widowed or separated, with those with no one to talk to being 10 times more likely to be report loneliness. We're going to have a short break, guys. I'm smashing through the news, aren't I? Smashing through the news today. Absolutely phenomenal. We've got loads of listeners coming through. I appreciate everyone coming through, supporting the show time and time again. Thank you ever so much. We're going to have a short break, guys. I'm staying here. Oh, my shoulders. You beauties. Two seconds, guys. 2 seconds.
And all of the royal family.
General Sir Mark Carlton-Smith, Chief of the General Staff of the British Army. And I was talking with both Gabby and Peter Hunt in the last 15-20 minutes or so about the role that the royal family plays in the national life. And of course, for some people, it feels like an irrelevance. For some people, it feels outdated. But I think you can see the younger members of the family trying to do what their parents did actually as well, which is to walk alongside the generation in question. If that makes sense? And as well as all the sort of grandeur at the top and that expression of state that I talked about, I do think that the strength of this particular way of doing monarchy, what's allowed it to survive for as long as it has, where other royal families haven't, other monarchies haven't, certainly not in the same way, is their insistence on this annual round of royal visits. Loads of them go unnoticed. And when I was a local radio reporter I remember Princess Anne coming to open a sewage treatment plant. Fantastic, huge, great modern sewage treatment plant. And you think, is this really what I'm going to report? Is this really what I'm going to report?
How you
And
doing,
then if you
mate?
think about it,
Hey.
well, I didn't have to. I went there, and in her
How you doing?
speech to mark the opening of the sewage plant, which was a really important plant for the environment around the River Mersey and for the obvious
Yeah,
reason.
good, thank you. Very
She
well.
made a really funny joke about scatological matters, as you can imagine. She
Very
made
well,
the people
very well.
who had built the thing
singing
and were
a
going to
while.
run the thing feel
About an hour
great
and a half
about
hour
what they'd
singing.
provided for the community that it was based in. She poo-pooed, she used the term herself, the idea of the systems of the loos in the building being filled with rose water for her visit. Somehow the word had got to her that this had happened, and she absolutely nailed that one. She's her father's daughter. But it's an example of what I mean about when they go to just everyday places, and they do it every day. They do it almost every day. All of those major members of the royal family go to all kinds of places up and down the United Kingdom and give communities a lift and give communities attention, get attention for charities, get attention for associations doing all kinds of things in their communities, the kinds of things we've seen
Thank you, girl.
ourselves really leaning on during this pandemic. And for that reason, you might not like that system, but I think surely you have to accept that many of those days they'd all be rather doing something else. And yet they turn up every day. And I do think the measure of a person is that they show up, isn't it? In lots of ways, that they show up. And they do show up. And Prince Philip showed up. He did what he said he would do. He supported the Queen, he supported the Crown, he supported his country. And for that reason, he certainly has my respect. Your reflections as well, really welcome. 0345 6060 973, the number to call. You can text 84850. You can tweet at LBC. We'll hear from Dan Bevan in a moment. He's been talking to somebody in Aberfan who met Prince Philip all those years ago after that dreadful disaster there. It's 1:45.
LBC. Are your savings getting the interest they deserve? Take a look. Rock bottom interest rates aren't great for your savings, but it does mean now could be the perfect time to start investing. At Multiply, we make investing super easy so that your money can work harder. Plus, with our £20,000 prize draw, there's never been a better time to get started. If you're ready to pay attention to your money, visit wealthify.com or download the Wealthify app. Offer closes 9th of June. Terms and conditions apply. Remember, when investing, your capital is at risk and you may get back less than you put in.
Now is the perfect time to get behind the wheel of a brand new Skoda with 0% APR representative across the range until the 30th of April in the Skoda Spring event. Driven by something different. Skoda.
Oh, that's nice.
The Solutions Personal Contract Plan. Minimum 10% deposit required. Minimum term 18 months. Maximum term 36 months. Ordered by 30th of April and delivered by 31st of May 2021. Stock vehicles only. T's and C's apply. Excludes SE Technology, Octavia VRS, Superb IV, and Enyaq IV. Indemnities may be required. Skoda Financial Services.
If you see somebody showing any of the signs of a stroke, you don't have to think about it. You just dial 999. Use the FAST test. F. Face. Has their face fallen on one side? Can they smile? A. Arms. Can they raise both arms and keep them there? S. Speech. Is their speech slurred? T. Time. Time to call 999 if you see any one of these signs. Act fast, make the call, dial 999.
As we start getting back out there, capture long-awaited moments on the incredible iPhone 11 Pro. With its triple camera system and ultra-wide, you'll get the perfect pictures. And now at Vodafone, you can save £262 and get a huge 100 gigabytes of data for just £59 per month and £29 up front. Go online today. Together we can. Vodafone.
CPI plus 3.9% increase in shape. Offer ends 27th of April. Minimum term agreement 25 gig roam fee. Use credit check and terms apply. Saving info at Vodafone.co.uk.
Today's $1.99 wrap of the day is the barbecue bacon and chicken one. Guaranteed to cause flavour envy. Picture a soft and...
Try and get the show wrapped up, ladies and gents. Thank you for staying observed and both reserved. That's what we call part of the Aristocracy Social League. Thank you ever so much. It means a lot to me. Absolutely. I'm a political analyst, a political editor. Analyst, what is Brexit doing to Northern Ireland? There's a lot going on in Northern Ireland, isn't it? A lot of riots with the police and whatever's going on with them youngsters, I don't know. Renewed tension in Northern Ireland could have far-reaching implications for the future of the United Kingdom and Brexit relations with the EU. The violence that has erupted this week on the streets of Belfast and other towns and cities in Northern Ireland has many causes. Do you think Northern Ireland feel isolated because they're gone with the EU relations? They're not part of Brexit. Do you reckon they feel isolated? They now feel foreign compared to the rest of the United Kingdom. But anger about post-Brexit trading rules that came into force in February is a factor. But do you think it might be something to do with the IRA 1983 of the Great Maze Escape Prison with 37 prisoners that escaped? I mean, go back to the criminal law books I've read over the past few years. I reckon that could be why Northern Ireland could be kept out the circle, perhaps. The violence that erupted this week in the streets of Belfast and other towns and cities in Northern Ireland have many causes. But they've always been that way in kind. I don't know if it's because they feel left out from the rest of the world, or it's just they choose. I mean, politicians, the people in charge, choose that direction. I don't know. But anger about the post-Brexit trading rules that come into force in February is a factor. The section of the Brexit deal known as the protocol was designed to protect the peace process by avoiding the need for checks on border with Ireland. But it also means that some European law continue to apply in Northern Ireland. And that has reinforced long-held feelings among unionists that they are being cut off from the rest of the UK and that they've been misled by the UK government, and EU is not listening. Much of the focus in talks of Brussels of the UK's departure from the EU was ensuring that the trade from Northern Ireland to Great Britain could continue freely, to be unfettered. Trading friction. That's what Prime Minister Boris Johnson meant when, in the run-up to the 2019 general election, he famously told traders they would have this permission to throw away any new paperwork. Because Boris Johnson because he is the Prime Minister, he gets the blame for a lot of litigation that goes through Parliament, as it is the biggest judiciary in the UK. He's going to be put to ransom, isn't he? All the critics are going to jump on board and think it's Boris Johnson's fault, but you've got to remember there's all the other politicians underneath him. Also gave many the impression that a trade in the other direction from Great Britain to Northern Ireland would be just as smooth. That was despite the warning from the EU and the UK civil servants that the new rules would inevitably lead to more friction. The past few months have provided real-world examples as the protocol kicked in. Imports of plant and animal products such as mozzarella cheese into Northern Ireland from Great Britain now require multiple forms when previously there were fewer or none. I did wonder, like with the, we call it foreign trading now with the EU, you have to get like a, what's the name pass? When you go to another country, you need a visa, like a work regulated visa to say you are now trading with the EU or something. I don't know what the rules and regulations are, so I don't trade with the EU. Some firms such as John Lewis suspended delivery of parcels to Northern Ireland, and some packages from Great Britain were labelled as international. Although the department store chain has resumed most deliveries now, two cigarette manufacturers said they would reduce the range of products on sale in Northern Ireland because EU rules on packaging remained. People moving out from Great Britain to Northern Ireland need a custom declaration for their possessions if they use a removals firm. Some of the problems were temporary and have gone away. Others are on the way of being solved with workarounds, or with money or support schemes. Some have been booted into long grass with grace periods before rules are fully applied. Assembly elections. I mean, there's kids here, like in the picture, of age about 16, throwing rocks at the police. Their teachers, their preachers, their parents are not giving them a good guidance of life, are they? You're 16-year-old, probably don't know nothing about politics or what's even going on, only what hearsay, what the mum and dad are reading in the tabloid. Which is a bit of a shambolic episode that their children are going out throwing stones at police. Assembly elections. One European diplomat who helped to write the Brexit deal, told me it was unlikely that any of these issues had inspired teenagers to throw missiles at the police this week. Like I said, teenagers. Kids don't understand. Like the adults will speak about the Brexit, could be for an alcohol-fueled party with their friends, perhaps, and the kids are getting only half the hearsay of the argument, and they're thinking, well, this has got to be like a Chelsea West Ham riot with the police. Let's go and throw missiles at the opposition. Let's blame the police. Like, each one is a reminder that Northern Ireland is getting treated differently from the rest of the UK because of the treaty agreed by the UK government. And the theoretic of the unionist politicians suggest it is unlikely that the differences can ever be minimised in a way that satisfies them. They would prefer the protocol was suspended, which would be allowed if there was a serious threat to security or the economy or permanently junked. That will be the DUP's pitch at the election for Northern Ireland Assembly next May, and again when Sturmont votes on the continuation of the protocol in 2024, which means that instability around the Brexit deal in Northern Ireland is likely to continue for years. Self-fulfilling prophecy. And it could get even worse. I recently spoke to one of UK's Brexit negotiators who asked, how will Northern Irish Leave voters feel if European Court of Justice is ever asked to rule on how the protocol is being applied? Just before we move on, why are teenagers finding missiles and not the parents? Because the teenager more likely to get away with what's going on than an adult would. An adult would be banged up in prison or community service. British observers also fear that DUP leader Arlene Foster has been forced in increasingly extreme positions by our own party and voters demanding an even stronger brand of unionism. One government advisor also suggested to me the unionist leaders were whipping up their supporters, risking a self-fulfilling prophecy where politicians use inflammatory language which winds up the public, which then demands an even tougher response. That makes it more difficult for the DUP to share power with Sean Penn, which threatens devolved government and the peace process. It also makes it harder for Northern Ireland Irish government to build inspection posts at ports and other things it is meant to be implemented under the terms of the protocol, potentially undermining the Brexit deal itself. Boris Johnson is also under pressure from some of his own Conservative MPs, while still pressing for the alternative solutions to the Irish issue, even though these solutions were rejected by the EU many times during the Brexit negotiations. And what about the EU? Border poll. The British government accuses them of being deaf to the needs of the unionists and putting the interests of those who care more about Northern Ireland's relationship with Ireland ahead of those who care about its relationship with Great Britain. UK ministers say the EU gave unionists another reason to be upset by almost accidentally suspending the protocol in January, when it was designing a mechanism to screen exports of coronavirus vaccines. UK quickly corrected its mistake and apologised. Officials in Brussels say privately the problems in Northern Ireland are because that UK was not honest about changes that were coming enacted too late to minimise their impact. The biggest question of all is the degree to which the implementation of the Brexit deal affects the number of the Northern Irish citizens saying they would like to be part of Ireland. Hello, Daisy Doo. How you doing, girl? Brexit law compels Northern Ireland's secretary to hold a referendum in a better border poll if the evidence is the majority of the population wants reunification. Opinion polls suggest a small but growing minority in favour, but the law is silent about what evidence should be considered for how a vote would work. Good. Thank you for the gifts last night, Dave. I'll find back at you when you're saving for your PK. Plus, I'll get paid then. I'll be able to gift you a bit more. The potential breakup of the UK is why the technical details of the Brexit deal matter to politicians in London, Belfast, Dublin, and Brussels, and to people on the streets in Newtown Abbey, Carrickfergus, Ballymena, and London Derry. So now we get towards the target, girl. I'm down far away. I'm nearly about 9,000 probably. Greensill row. David Cameron. David Cameron's still in the media. He was Prime Minister some years ago. Why is he still getting involved? Same as Jeremy Corbyn. After Prime Minister, they should probably either go in the Lords or not really go into the Commons. They should be in the Lords. Greensill row. David Cameron believes he should have sent letter to Rishi Sunak, says his friend. That thing was the analyst of the Northern Ireland Protocol. What's going on with all the children ambushing the police? I think that's been an ongoing thing. I know they're not part of the EU now, but they put themselves in that category themselves since the IRA was formed in 1983, and it's been going on. IRA been going on for years. 1983 is when they first formed and had the Great Major Escape, which was in Belfast, causing absolute mayhem. They put themselves in a total different league to the rest of the world. That's their own fault, They got themselves to blame. David Cameron now believes it might be better to approach the Treasury former over access to loans for a firm he worked for, his friend has said. A row over lobbying erupted after it came to light what the former Conservative PM had sent text to the Chancellor Rishi Sunak and two other ministers appealing for help for Greensill Capital. As reported in the Financial Times, a friend of Mr Cameron said he now thinks a formal letter would have been better. Mr Cameron has yet to respond himself. I mean, don't get me wrong, I've got a lot of Irish friends, so I'm not going to sit there and make it. It's not a fascist statement, I'm just saying what you see. Like BLM didn't get formed a political party because the first time they tried to form a political party and they was causing absolute mayhem in the streets. I know they do nice calm protests and stuff now, but that is why. You go in there in abrupt mannerism, you're not going to be accepted in society. It's as simple as that. Same as the EDL group. Tommy Robinson set up the party to go against Islam. What an absolute idiot. There's not about 9 million Muslims in the First World War fought in the trenches to save England from going under. I don't think people like Tommy Robinson has half a brain cell. He's now hiding in Spain because of it. And he's trying to tarnish all the Muslim culture with the same brush as well, which is a big shock. As reported in the Financial Times, a friend of Mr Cameron said he now thinks a formal letter would have been better. Mr Cameron has yet to respond himself. On Thursday, the Chancellor published two of his text replies to Mr Cameron, saying the request he made would require a change to the system in place, but that he had pushed the team to explore an alternative. A source close to Mr Sunak said the former Prime Minister has messaged the Chancellor multiple times on his personal phone, and that he had chosen to publish the message in order to assure beyond doubt and there was no wrongdoing, and that he acted with the integrity and propriety. Mr Cameron's text had not been published, but Labour Shadow Chancellor Annalise Dodds said the message raised very serious questions about whether the Chancellor may have broken the Ministerial Code, and he suggests the firm that got accelerated treatment and access to officials. What are you doing tonight, Daisy? You doing a live party again? I'll come through later. The party has called for a full, transparent and thorough investigation, while the SNP has demanded Mr Sunak make a statement to Parliament. Yeah, we should do a karaoke stream. Days. Do a karaoke stream. Get your mic, get your grab bags on, get your mic on. Have a Saturday night boogie. After leaving office, Mr Cameron got a job as an advisor to Greensill Capital. The company, which has now gone bust, was run by financer Lex Greensill, who worked as unpaid advisor to Mr Cameron during his time in Number 10. When working for Greensill in 2020, Mr Cameron texted Conservative ministers with the Treasury to appeal for access to emergency government-backed loans and missed the height of the pandemic. But the requests were eventually rejected by the Treasury officials. Mr Cameron was investigated by a watchdog over whether he broke the rules by not registering as a lobbyist for his work at Greensill, but he was cleared in March. But critics have continued to question his access to ministers, and Labour has raised questions about access to Ms Greensill. when he has worked as a government advisor. However, the friend of Mr. Cameron said he and Mr. Greensill met twice at the most when Mr. Cameron was PM. No rules broken. In the latest development in the row, a friend of Mr. Cameron said he now believed it may have been better to formally approach the Chancellor through a letter, rather than sending text messages to his personal phone. The friend said Mr. Cameron approached Mr. Sunak at a time of national crisis when the Treasury was actively seeking ideas. And they said no rules had been broken by former Prime Minister. Mr. Greensill, the Australian founder of Greensill Capital, has yet to comment on the row. David Cameron in the journals in the broadsheet. We can have a bit of update on Formula One. I'm not really a sports fan anymore. I used to be a professional boxer. I was really good at football when I was young, man. I really don't support a football team. I don't really support any boxers. I see big fights happening. Well, that'd be good for the country, good for the nation. But I don't have a favourite boxer. They are my favourite boxers are all the old school boxers. You've got Carlos Monzon. No one knows about Carlos Monzon. He's had 100 fights and retired. The boxers now retire after about 30 or 40 fights undefeated. Carlos Monzon lost 1 out of 100 fights. And then back in the old days when they used to fight, they used to do 14 rounds, not 11 rounds. And I think the minutes were longer around as well, if I believe. If I'm right, I believe. I've got all the boxing news magazines going back as far as 1970, maybe 60, I'm not sure. Anyway, F1, Formula One racing. Hamilton and mercenary when he joined Mercedes. James Bowles says Lewis Hamilton was a mercenary and much less of a team than now when he first joined Mercedes. He still looks young in the face. Do you know what? Coloured people, black people, if you want. My mum, it's not fascist for me because my mum's black. I'm kind of mixed race. You're not allowed to say mixed anymore. That's ludicrous. You've got to be careful how you speak. I don't upset anyone. Hamilton shocked the Formula One world in 2012 when he announced he would be leaving McLaren and joining Mercedes the following year. Given the Woking-based team were far more successful at that point, the move did, of course, work out for the Briton as he has gone on to win Drivers' World Championship 6 more times since then, failing to do so only in 2013 and 16, while the team has won the Constructors' World Championship in every year of the hybrid era. Hamilton has been widely credited for his role in Germany's team journey to becoming one of the most dominant forces in the history of F1, but Vowles, the chief strategist, says he was not such a team player when he first joined. I mean, Formula One is probably any motorbike racing is probably the most dangerous sport you can get involved because you can't control a car going up a track. You can't control yourself dying. In a boxing scenario, you've only got yourself and the opponent you're fighting, so you've got to condition yourself to beat your opponent. It's down to you. So if you can control your head getting kicked in or not. You got to train hard. Simple as that. Formula One, if you take one slip of another car behind you, you can't control your car. You can't control your accident. You can't control your death. Is what I'm getting at. So it's a dangerous sport. You really got to be brave to get in a Formula One car and race at that speed. When he joined us, he was a mercenary. He said on Beyond the Grid podcast, he was here for himself to win races. That desire to win hasn't disappeared. But what he's realised is you do it with a team, and that's part of a team. And you become the greatest sportsman that exists as a result of it. So there's not enough support for Formula One drivers. Boxing and, he's a big brute, he knocked so-and-so out. Everyone gives it all that. But really, the most bravest sport is something like Formula One or motorbike racing. One individual can do it by himself. He's a very different character to the character that joined us. Check all the latest Mercedes merchandise via the official Formula One store, as well as developing his one-track approach. Hamilton has also become a more complete driver inside the car in the eyes of many joining Mercedes. Thank you ever so much, George. Bless you, mate. Cheers, buddy. The 36-year-old was always, cheers, buddy, renowned for his outright plays, but is now considered one of the cheers, George. Thank you, buddy. I appreciate you, mate. Sporting director Ron Meadows says he has always become more calculated in his pursuit of world championships. I think early on, I now think he's just becoming a much more calculating driver, he said. From the first lap of the first race, he was thinking about championships. He's thinking about looking after the car and the tyres a lot more. Thank you ever so much, George. Certainly his approach to the weekend, he's thinking about the race and everything is just becoming really calculating, clean and clinical. You can follow on Twitter, Planet F1. You can like their page and follow their latest updates if you are an F1 fan. Here we go. GMB's Ben Shephard emotionally fights back tears as he discusses Kate Garraway's husband, Derek, returning home over a year after he was hospitalised. Derek was admitted to hospital in March 2020 after showing symptoms of coronavirus. He was put into an induced coma to help his recovery and woke up for the first time in October last year to tell doctors he was in pain. The deadly bug attacked everyone, leaving him with kidney failure, damage to his liver and pancreas, as well as heart failure after beating the virus. As the ITV breakfast show began on Friday morning, Ben discussed the news that Derek is now home with Kate and her two children, with co-host Ranveer Singh. He said, "We are all smiling this morning, aren't we?" To which Ranveer replied, "It's made everybody smile." Ben continued the news that he's been able to travel home and he's living at home now with Kate, Darcy and Bill. Honestly, this means an awful lot to us because we've shared this with Kate personally, but we come in and see messages from the guys and have pleased you are. In the first step, in a very, very long journey for Derek and Kate and for the family trying to work out how it's going to unfold, there's 24-hour care for him at home. Ben has added, "It's a progress thing, isn't it?" Radney said. "Now doctors are saying he's responding regularly, which is an amazing thing, but there's going to be a lot of help needed for Kate and the family." Showbiz correspondent Richard Arnold added, "It's godsend, having been with her through the journey. It's been absolutely heartbreaking. It's not as much joy as unconfined, but it's relief. Palpable relief for all of us." Kate herself made an emotional appearance on the show on Friday morning as she spoke about having Derek finally home after a year in hospital. The 53-year-old spoke about Derek's first night back in the London home. As she arrived via video link, she explained, "It does feel like the hospital has come home with me at the moment." Nigel Farage. What is he up to? Nigel Farage. Everyone knows their breath when I mention Nigel Farage. What's coming next? Nigel Farage attacked Harry and Meghan in reaction to Prince Philip's death. Public opinion is going to be down. It's go down very fast. And why would Nigel Farage pick on the Duke of Edinburgh's family? Come on, mate. Really? They just lost Prince Philip. Really? You need to be in a news. Look, Harry just lost his granddad. Really? Not Farage? Really? Nigel Farage launched a scathing attack on Prince Harry and Meghan Markle in an appearance on Fox News shortly after the announcement of Prince Philip's death. Asked for his thoughts on the death of Duke Edinburgh by the host and Fox and Friends, the former MEP and leader of the Brexit party did not hold back. I mean, what gives him the audacity, the power, or the mind-struck audacity to think that he's allowed to have this discussion, with Prince Harry and Meghan Markle, if it's at their face or behind their back, still shouldn't be doing it. All he should be writing about is his heart condolences going out to all family members. And that is it. He's claimed that the couple's decision to go ahead with the broadcast while Prince Philip was in hospital will see their standing with people drop very, very fast. It's well known that Philip only had a few weeks to live, and yet despite the fact the Queen must have begun in a state of deep distress, they proceeded to do an interview at which they attacked effectively the older members of all families, said Mr. Farage. He added that he thought the Duke and Duchess of Sussex indeed did their best to threaten the very institution itself. Continuing, he said, given that today is the day that Philip has died, I won't use the words about Meghan and Harry I would like to, but I think it was deeply disrespectful. A little later in the broadcast, when pressed again on the fallout of the interview that in the way which it called into question the future of the royal family, Mr. Farage said he felt that the Duke's death would draw a line underneath that. When people see the tribute pouring in from over the world, especially for a Commonwealth, which is the Queen of their head, and which Philip played a big role in, Mr. Farage said people will realise what a big deal the British monarchy is. Returning to the attack on Harry and Meghan, he added, when people realise, as I just have said to you, that was known for the last many weeks, that he was at a death's door, when people realised that Meghan and Harry went ahead of the interview regardless, throwing around unjustified allegations. I have a feeling public opinion in terms of Meghan and Harry is to go down very, very fast. Farage says things at the wrong time in the media. He's always in the mainline media, Farage. You can't get away from him. Yeah, so a man arrested after a woman's body found in a water country park, as we know. A man has been arrested in suspicion of murder after a woman's body was found in water. Police were called an ambulance service shortly after 7 a.m. on Friday following discovered the body at Brandon Country Park. Suffolk police said a 46-year-old suspect detained at about 12:15 p.m. had been taken to Bury St Edmunds Police Investigation Centre for questioning. I mean, what would cause someone's psychomotor state to put someone in a river? The mens rea, psychomotor state, provocation, absolutely cause. Distraught police that will have to get themselves in the crime and commissioners, police investigators have to get them, put themselves through to get to these measures of docile humanities. I feel sorry for them, really do. I really feel sorry for them. The force said that Country Park is closed while its investigation continues. Detectives are treating the woman's death as an isolated incident. Detective Superintendent Annie Smith said investigation is still in its very early stages, but we suspect that the parties involved are known to each other, with no wider threat to the community. We understand this was shocked and alarmed many people, but officers will remain at the scene for the coming days, and extra patrols are taking place to provide reassurance. We would like to thank local residents who have so far assisted us with the investigation. Anyone with the information is asked to contact the Force's major investigation team either by using their online portal or by calling 101 and quoting reference 37/17570 to 21. Alternatively, please contact charity Crime Stoppers anonymously on 0800 555 111. There you go, ladies and gents. Wrapping up the show for today. I hope that last bit rings a bell, rings an alarm for everyone. Suffolk could be a Suffolk murder by the sound of things. They haven't yet they're taking a suspect in, but if he's found guilty or not, we need people with evidence coming forward. Thank you all so much on Proclamation News and Gatherings for staying observed and preserved. We are part of the Aristocracy elite. Absolute populism on Castbox. I'm trying Podbean. I want to get popular on Podbean now, so there's a new diversity we're trying to hit with the media. I'm a media expert. I've done media studies since 1996, trying to hit all platforms. We're on LinkedIn, we're on Twitter. I'm Proclamation New. If you want to find me on Twitter, Proclamation New, not with an S, Proclamation New on Twitter. Proclamation News and Gatherings on LinkedIn. I've got Proclamation News and Gatherings on Facebook if you want to follow me on there. We're here, we're there, we're every freaking where. Hallelujah. Amen. God bless. Have a wonderful Saturday. It's the weekend.